Alright, this week I'm going to be tackling my clamps. They're currently laying all over my shop, and so no more putting it off. I'm building something to organize these guys. I started off by looking at my scrap bin. I have a ton of 3/4 inch cutoffs, so I went ahead and pulled a few out that I thought I could use. For the dimensions of these, I was just shooting from the hip. I used 9.5 inches for the top and 4 inches for the bottom to create this sort of triangle looking shape. I used the miter saw to cut down the first one and then used it to trace out the second. Since I have OSB walls, I'm not going to bother with the back. Instead, I'm just going to use pocket holes to attach these holders directly to my wall. I used 2 pocket holes per side piece, and I drilled them in on opposite sides. To figure out the placement, I test fitted it with a clamp on one of the side pieces. I just didn't want it interfering with the ceiling, but I wanted it as close to the top of the wall that I could get it. Then when it came time to attach the second side, I just sandwiched it up against the bar of the clamp and also attached it, using a level to make sure that it was in line with the first, and also using a level to make sure it was plumb before attaching the second screw. I gave it a try and the clamp slid in and out just fine, so I stuck with the design and made a few more. However, instead of using the miter saw, I went ahead and taped a few boards together and then cut it out at the same time on the bandsaw. To determine how far apart I needed to space these, I would hold one of the side pieces on the wall and hang a clamp from it. Now, these pipe clamps want to angle to the left just slightly, and I compensated for that in the spacing, but you could also sandwich the 2 pieces closer together around the pipe of the clamp so that it keeps it more straight up and down. Now I intentionally placed the longest clamps on the outside of the wall so that I'll be able to utilize the inside of the wall in the future. So I know the arrangement looks a little funny, but I think it'll be the best for the sake of function. Now I originally wanted to keep all of my clamps together, so I was thinking this would be a great spot for the quick clamps. However, I just didn't like how far away from the main work area they were, so I decided to split them up. I grabbed a few more scraps and counterbored a hole near the top on both of them. Again, I'm not going to be attaching a back, so I drilled a few pocket holes so I could attach it directly to the wall. However, when I went to test fit it with the bar, the clamp kept falling off because I drilled that hole too close to the center and the clamp was hitting the wall. So I cut some new scraps and drilled the hole off center just slightly, and it worked great. To install it, I first attached the one side, slid in the pipe, and then sandwiched on the second side. I was going to make an identical holder for the spring clamps, but I didn't want to have to open the clamp every time I wanted to put it on the holder. So instead, I used the scraps that I already made with the hole in the center and attached it. This moved the bar closer to the wall to where I would be able to slide the leg of the spring clamp in between the wall and the bar to hold it in place. Then these crud clamps, they can just be hooked around the bar. Yeah. So even though there's only 2 pocket holes in each, you can see that it will hold my weight just fine. Now I left a space in between them so that if I want to put a tool here on the ground in the future, like if I want to move my router table and my drill press, I have this space open. And then what I'll do for this space is maybe put a shelf, or we'll just see what I need in order to utilize that later on. But the way that this is going to work is I can reach up and grab the clamp and slide it out, and then just slide it back in whenever I'm done. And then as for these, I use PVC just because it's what I had, but you could very easily use dowels or conduit as well. And I bet it would take out some of this flex. But I mean, for clamp storage, I think that this is going to be just fine. However, of course, if it does get too saggy, then I could take off one of these sides, replace it with some conduit, and then put the side right back on. It makes all my clamps quick and accessible right here where the main work area is. So I hope that this project was helpful to somebody. Just a very quick project to help organize the shop just a little bit more. So leave your comments in the section below, and I will see you next time. Oh, and if you're in need of some paint storage, then be sure to check out Triton Tools' YouTube channel February the 8th. They're going to release a video showing how I built this one.